Sometimes all it takes is one single tech demo to light a match and start a massive global debate. And that is exactly what happened with a little startup called Optifye.ai. Today, we're going to unpack how their vision for the factory of the future kind of accidentally kicked off this huge conversation about surveillance, privacy, and really the future of work itself. So yeah, this is the big question, right? It's what this whole controversy boils down to. It's forcing us all to think about where we draw the line between cool new tech and, our own personal space. On one hand, you've got this really tempting promise of perfect efficiency, a business that runs like a flawless machine. But on the other side, there's this very real, kind of creepy fear of being watched all the time. This is the exact conflict that we're about to see blow up. Okay, so before we get into Optifye.ai specifically, let's zoom out for a second. The reality is, companies are already turning to AI to watch over their employees. The goal? To boost their output and slash costs. And that trend is exactly where our story really kicks off. And listen, we're not just talking about your typical security cameras here. Not at all. AI worker monitoring uses some pretty smart software to analyze basically everything an employee does. It's tracking their movements, it's measuring how active they are, and it's grading their productivity in real time, creating this nonstop report card on their performance. All right, now let's zoom in on the company at the center of the storm. Optifye.ai. They were backed by the legendary startup accelerator Y Combinator, and they had this super ambitious vision to totally transform the factory floor. The idea itself was pretty simple, really. First, you have these AI-powered cameras watching everything that happens on the factory floor. Then, that video feed gets analyzed by the software live, tracking what every single worker is doing. But and this is the part that caused all the trouble, the software itself would decide who was underperforming and automatically flag them. And this right here is the moment the whole thing just went off the rails. In the company's own demo video, the software spots a worker, not by their name, but just as number 17. And then it calls them out for low productivity. In that instant, a human being stopped being a person. They became a number, publicly shamed by an algorithm for not working fast enough. So, as you can probably imagine, the whole worker number 17 thing did not land well. The video went viral, but for all the wrong reasons, and it set off an immediate and really angry public backlash. The reaction was just visceral. Social media absolutely exploded with people calling the tech dystopian, dehumanizing, and when you see a word like slave driving being used, you know this idea didn't just annoy people, it hit a very, very raw nerve. I mean, the speed at which this blew up was just wild. On day 1, Y Combinator is proudly sharing this demo. By day 2, there's a full-blown firestorm erupting online. And by day 3, poof, the video is gone, pulled down by Y Combinator to try and stop the bleeding. It just goes to show how fast this story turned toxic. The fact that Y Combinator retreated so quickly, that speaks volumes. It wasn't just about one startup's messy PR. It showed that even a powerhouse in the tech world wanted nothing to do with this kind of invasive AI. It was a huge crack in that old move fast and break things philosophy. So this one viral video, it very quickly stopped being about just one company. It ballooned into this much larger, much more complicated debate about technology, about power, and about what we actually care about when it comes to work. And that really gets to the core of it, doesn't it? I mean, every company on Earth wants to be more efficient. But at what point does that push for optimization cross a line and start to dehumanize the very people who make the business run? And to really get this whole debate, you have to see that there's no single bad guy here. Everybody has a different goal. Companies, they want more productivity. Workers, they just want to keep their privacy and their dignity. The accelerators, well, they're stuck trying to push for innovation while also protecting their own reputation. And then there's the rest of us, society, trying to figure out where the ethical line should be for all this new stuff. So trying to get through this, it's like navigating a minefield, legally and ethically. We have to answer these huge questions about privacy at work, about what real consent even looks like. We have to figure out how to stop these super high-pressure, exploitative work environments, all while our laws are struggling to keep up. But ultimately, it all comes back to protecting a person's dignity, making sure they aren't just reduced to a data point on a screen. So, after all that backlash, you might be thinking, okay, this tech is dead in the water, right? Well, not exactly. The conversation has just shifted. It's not really about if we'll use AI to monitor work anymore. It's about how we're going to do it without crossing those ethical lines. What you see here is that experts and the public aren't really saying ban it. They're saying control it. The loudest calls are for stronger rules and a real focus on ethical design, building these tools with things like transparency baked in from the start, not slapped on as an afterthought. And another huge consequence from all this, the pressure has now shifted big time onto the organizations that fund these startups in the first place. People are now demanding that accelerators like Y Combinator act as more than just investors. They're expected to be ethical gatekeepers, thinking about a startup's impact on society, not just its bottom line. And all of this leaves us with one final, incredibly important thought. The rules that are going to define our future workplaces, they're not really being written in law books anymore. They're being written in code. The Optifye.ai controversy forces us to ask a really critical question. Who gets to hold the pen?